Back to Capitol Hill, where the CEO of TikTok was testifying before that House panel, bipartisan fashion, Democrats and Republicans on the same page. It was interesting to see this just because we don't see it very often. For more on what happened, let's welcome in the former Lieutenant Governor of New York Post columnist Betsy McCoy, radio host Christopher Arps back with us, and political analyst and best-selling author Mark Halperin is here. Mark, we'll start with you. On the heels of this Washington Post poll, 40% of Americans, so 150 million Americans have TikTok accounts. That's half the country almost, and 40% of Americans want a ban of this company, which is run by another company which reports directly to the Chinese Communist Party. What'd you make of the hearing yesterday? Was this a good day for Shou Chew, the CEO of TikTok?
It was not. He was unprepared despite having weeks to prepare, and he said his company's back as a PR matter. There's momentum now to do something, but it's going to be difficult. The courts could intervene. Congress still has to get its act together, get something the White House would support. And you're going to have consumers annoyed because for a lot of Americans, they'd say, unfortunately, yeah, the Chinese want to spy on me. Great. I like the free entertainment.
Chris, just a question about, so I thought that members of Congress on both sides of the aisle did a pretty good job. It seems like they knew what they were talking about, which isn't always the case when it comes to technical things like TikTok. I thought the questions were pretty good yesterday. What did you make of that?
Well, I thought, we've seen what we've seen regarding bipartisanship with China. We passed the CHIPS Act last year, which was trying to bring back chip production back to the United States. They see the dangers that China poses to us economically and militarily. So it was good to see that bipartisanship yesterday. I don't think the TikTok CEO made many friends or changed many minds, and I'm hoping that this app is removed. Look, we are a free market capitalist country. The arguments that TikTok was making that this will destroy the businesses of influencers who are on TikTok. Look, Facebook has Reels, other platforms have something similar to TikTok. I just think that's a specious argument. It needs to be get rid of in this in our country.
Betsy, the TikTok CEO, Shou Chew, 40 years old, born in Singapore. No surprise, went to Harvard, got his MBA there, went to the University College of London. He's got a great resume, and I think he thought he could just talk his way out of this yesterday. That was not the case. Seemed pretty arrogant, too, in a lot of his responses.
I agree.
Well, that's for sure, although his response to the very direct question about spying on America was preposterously vague. He could have just answered no, but he didn't. And that was very telling. Even more telling is this. Many members of Congress have made it clear what they would like is to have TikTok purchased from its parent company, Byte, by a non-Chinese company. It's the parent company and the parent company's close relationship, as all major companies in China have, with the Chinese Communist Party. That's a real concern. The Chinese Communist Party at any time can access, manipulate, exploit this enormous amount of data on Americans. But unfortunately, Mr. Chew made it clear yesterday that ByteDance is not going to allow its subsidiary to be purchased by a non-Chinese company. ByteDance will not sell TikTok to a non-Chinese company. So it's clear that, in fact, the Chinese government is pulling the strings.
Yeah, great point, Betsy. Let's take a listen to that soundbite you just referenced there. This is the CEO of TikTok. And just listen to the language he uses. Simple yes or no question. He says, I have no evidence of that because, of course, Betsy, he doesn't want to be charged with perjury. Take a look.
I ask you again, Mr. Chew, has ByteDance spied on American citizens?
I don't think the spying is the right way to describe it.
The Chinese government has that data. How can you promise that that will move into the United States of America and be protected here?
Congresswoman, I have seen no evidence that the Chinese government has access to that data. They have never asked us. We have not provided.
Well, you know what?
I
find that actually preposterous.
Mark, do you think he'd give the same answer if we asked her the same question about the Chinese spy balloon? I wouldn't call it spying. They were just sort of checking things out, you know?
Again, I don't understand how the guy came in unprepared for the most obvious questions. And
Mark, do you think it was unprepared, or I just think he thought that he was going to go over there and walk all over these members of Congress?
I mean, as you suggested earlier, we've seen in some of these previous tech hearings, members of both parties coming unprepared. They were prepared. And let's not underemphasize the extent to which they were also concerned, in addition to spying, about young people. We see in Utah, the first state, yesterday, the governor signed a bill to basically limit access to social media on the part of young people. Young people want a lot of these apps, and it's going to be up to legislators to figure out how to convince consumers and parents and young people you can't have access to stuff if it's harmful or if it's going to be used by our greatest adversary to spy on us.
Okay. We'll talk more about the TikTok hearings yesterday in just a little bit. For a second straight day yesterday, Chris, the grand jury in Manhattan decided that, no, we're not going to get together and convene. There will be no Trump indictment this week, maybe Monday, although the grand jury has to get together Monday, and then they would have to vote, and then they would have to indict. That would be a lot for one day, possibly next week. The Hill had some reporting yesterday about Alvin Bragg, saying that Donald Trump created a false expectation on a potential arrest, basically saying that, Donald Trump thinks he's going to be arrested. We're not going to arrest him. Does Alvin Bragg want out of this?
I think he does, but as I said the last hour, I think he has crossed the Rubicon now and basically has to go through with this indictment. He is a Soros-funded prosecutor, just like our prosecutor here in St. Louis is, Kimberly Gardner, and I think he owes Soros and people that support him what they want him to do. These are two very suspicious cases that have been brought by these Soros prosecutors. This case against Donald Trump, and then you have the case of Kimberly Gardner in St. Louis, who brought that case against our former Governor Greitens with very suspicious evidence, a case that eventually was thrown out, and Kimberly Gardner almost was disbarred by the Missouri Supreme Court.
Good point.
So you just see a couple of examples of these Soros prosecutors of how they have a political agenda to go after Republicans.
Okay, Chris Arps, Betsy McCoy will pick this back up top of the hour. Mark Halperin, safe travels. Aloha to you, my friend. Safe travels back to the continental United States. We'll do it again soon. Thank you.